Hey everyone, welcome to WhiteWashed. We are your hosts. My name is Bria.
My name is Jay.
And welcome to WhiteWashed. So we made this podcast for anyone who lives a multicultural life, whether it be Asian American like me or Black American like Jay, and of course anybody in between. We are also welcoming to those people who want to learn about different cultures other than their own, and just to understand the difficulties we get through while living in America.
We both know firsthand how hard it is to balance the two cultures, being in minorities, the Desi culture and the Black American culture as well. This podcast is for the people that need guidance, that need help, and we have a lot more in common than we think. And I think this podcast really will show and outline that and make, just you feel like a little more accepted and a little hug from the world.
Yeah, we could be like your sisters or anybody that you want to talk to. Just to know that, like Jay said, that you are not alone in this world. There are so many people who live a multicultural life, whether it be like they're mixed or they're just one culture. Like me, I'm Asian American. I'm full Asian American, but I'm also American as well. But Jay is half white and half black, and so we all kind of face the same difficulties while living in America. We're not fully accepted on both ends of the spectrum. So a little bit about me. Like I said, I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas. My parents are Pakistani. They immigrated here in their 20s. Very strict Muslims, so I was raised in a very strict religious household. And I also struggle with the brown side, the Pakistani side, that is super conservative, that is super, lay low and not have too many friends, versus the American side where, I want to be out all night. I want to be, like the American dream, the teenager dream where, like, there's, like, a convertible and you're in the highway. Like, I want that. But I also want to please my parents and be a good kid. But they don't think the Americans are good kids, so it's kind of just the difficulties of balancing both cultures. So, what about you, Jay?
I'm pretty much, I'm just black. Like, no, I mean, I'm mixed, but I identify with just being black. And it is just kind of controversial just to say that,
So,
black.
you don't identify as African American?
Oh, no.
Why not?
And it's not any, like, hate towards Africans. But partly, I think it's mainly just my own, like, self-struggle where I don't feel like I necessarily have the right to sit there and say that I'm African American, because I don't speak any of the languages I'm not a really big guru on every single country in Africa, and I always feel like that was just a term put on us from really like the white man's perspective, because we have to sit there and identify with the whole continent, opposed to like people that are actually from Africa that can be like, I'm Nigerian American or I'm Gambian American. We can't do that. We say African American, and that's partly just to be like, oh yeah, well, somewhere down the road, we were on ships, and I don't feel right.
Right.
And I don't like that. I don't like saying that I'm African American when I know there's actual people that are African American.
Yeah. Is it also because like you don't really like identify with any culture?
Oh yeah.
Because like.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I like, because Black Americans, we have our own culture, and I don't think people accept that enough, or like realize that to our own dialect, to our own music, and all this other stuff that Black Americans we do have. And to kind of just say that at least from my point, to say that we are like African American, we're of African descent, yes, but we're not a whole continent.
Exactly.
Where we are a mixture of cultures, and we have to be stripped of that culture
and make your own.
Yes, and make our own.
Yeah, and I think that with like the African culture, they don't really assimilate into the Black culture, and the Black people don't really assimilate to the African culture.
Yes.
It's two completely different ones, which makes sense, and I think that a lot of people do identify with just Black American. And I think that when white people or any other person of color or any person who gets uncomfortable saying Black, people think it's a bad word when it's really not.
Oh yeah.
It's not a bad word unless you're saying it like, those
yeah,
Blacks. That is.
That's always.
That is when it's a bad word. But if it's like, yeah, my friend, she's Black, and y'all might get along, like something like that, or I don't know, any other like way of saying it.
Or them blacks over there, those
yeah.
blacks.
See, that's when it turns into a bad word. And we can see how, like, just from being multicultural, we both have a lot of similarities. But even without that, just as people, as just Bria and Jay, we have a lot of similarities.
Oh, definitely.
We grew up both not rich.
We was poor. We was poor.
In a short way of saying, yeah, we were pretty poor, which is random. It was nothing about us being multicultural. It was just a random thing that we both got stuck with. And so we kind of had the same childhood where we played outside. We never really had phones at a young age. You know, we had to like raise our own siblings. Our parents weren't really there, and
far as like, especially like their whole dynamic with our parents and like, you know, the whole acceptance from them in general, just really like built in our own trauma as well.
I think that because my parents weren't born raised in America like I was, they see themselves as wholeheartedly Pakistani. I don't, because I did grow up in America. I have some of the American culture, not all of it. But I do have it, and I think they just see me as like a whitewashed version of like what their daughter could be. So I think that's another reason why, like, if you notice, most immigrant parents and kids of immigrant parents don't get along too well because of the differences. And I think another thing why multicultural kids are just so frustrated all the time is we don't see ourselves on the TV, on the big screen. You know, lately it's getting better. In the past 5-6 years, it's been getting a little better with
and by better, we're getting like a chip thrown at us.
I know. The bare minimum. We're getting the bare minimum, and it's not even for all cultures. I think they're just doing it just to do it, just to get everyone to shut the fuck up. But like, you see more black people on TV, which is great. But we don't really see too many Pakistanis. Desis. Pakistani is a very niche term, but you don't see a lot of Desis on TV. And the ones that we do have are super problematic. So we don't really have much of that. So Desis, if you see them, they're pretty frustrated with the world and living in America. It's very hard. And then with that, since we don't have any, you know, representation, there's a lot of guys out there who want us. Like, they want that white girl that they see on TV, or the super whitewashed black girl that they see on TV.
The Jessicas, the Jennifers, the Sabrinas.
Exactly.
Everything but black, everything but Daisy, anything but spice is what's...
I think, like you said, spice, it turns into a fetish.
Oh, yeah.
Where they just want us to fuck us and then throw us into the dirt.
Yeah, we're just like another like checklist for them, or some like fetish that they're like, oh, I watched that on the Hub last night. and it's kind of gross. Because like being Desi, like people look at me and they're like, that's Mia Khalifa. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, I do wear glasses sometimes. And like, that's the one reason why I hate wearing glasses. Even though I can't see, it's because people call me Mia Khalifa. And I'm like, see, they look at me and they're undressing me. It. No, shut up. But like, I can tell that guys are undressing me with their eyes. Oh yeah, that's
because
gross.
I have the skin color of Mia Khalifa. Like, that's disgusting. And that's another reason why, like, so when I was younger, I was in a really abusive relationship because I thought that the nicest guy who just doesn't fetishize me wants me.
Oh yeah,
and is the best for me. And so I took it.
And we're talking about our trash men now. Yeah, we're talking about our trash men. Okay.
I took it and I ran with it, and it was a year long of just pure abuse. And I think, Jay, you've been through the same thing with your ex-boyfriend.
Oh yeah, because I love a man that gives me attention. First sight, I'm a jump. Yeah. All you do is gotta tell me my hair is pretty, and you don't have to compare me to Beyonce or some whatever black woman that's in trend at that moment.
Megan Thee Stallion.
You know,
actually, she does really look like Megan Thee Stallion.
You know what? Okay,
I'll take that.
I'll take that one. I got the stallion in me for that. But as far as just like being just like fetishized in general, I think it's like hard because you can't really live up to like those expectations, or that's like it also like really hurts your self-esteem at the end of the day, because I've grown up thinking that I was never black enough, and part of the reason was because of that fetishization, where guys would be like, or they would get with me, or they'll just say things like, are you really black? Like,
yeah,
ma'am.
Or like they'll like, I think it's a lot of things in like white guys and white women where they'll date a black person just to have mixed babies.
Oh God,
Yeah.
don't even.
The fetishization of literal children.
Literally. Because that's frustrating, especially coming from like a mixed child where I didn't come out like the ideal mixed child.
Yeah, super caramel with colored eyes.
Yes.
White people hair.
Yeah.
If you have black people hair, then put
the very very loose curls though.
Yeah.
It's like that's ideal, ma'am.
Yeah.
No.
Put it back up in my vagina. I don't want it. But like truly, like that's just it's really hard dating when you're a person of color. And for me, I am kind of like a white man's whore, so I kind of have to find. Oh my!
Not the white man's whore.
I know. I can't really let a colonizer in my life. Anyways,
not like, just in your life.
But like, I think it's just really hard to deal with. That I don't really like desi men. So when I do find like an American guy who likes desi women, it's mostly just because they want to check me off the list and say they fucked Mia Khalifa.
Well, I think that's. I mean, you're my Mia Khalifa.
No,
so
I'm not.
She's a human being, you guys.
So,
treat her like one.
Please do. And that's all that we have for today. This is just our intro podcast. Hopefully the next ones will be a little longer than that. And a little bit what we'll be covering in the next episodes is more of the fetishization of people of color, women of color especially. We're going to talk about racism that we faced in school and at work, some microaggressions that we didn't notice at the time, but now we know. And we'll be covering all of that in the next episodes. And that's all we have for today.
Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you next episode. Goodbye, my lovelies.